Don Banks is on and Luca Craig is watching. Welcome to both of you. Gordon Smith saying bonsoir from Belgium. He's in Belgium, not in Denmark.
How nice. Have a good dinner tonight.
Yeah, exactly. What a great place to eat that country is. Good afternoon, Paul Homchick, Patrick Dyer. Good morning from what's been a wet Auckland. Stingray's up in cloudy, mild Seattle. Linton Little is watching. Lots of others. Welcome. Show number 535. Let's get this one off the dock.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alistair Murray checking in from Melbourne. Good day. Very early down there at 1:0600 in the morning. We've got a couple segments from Alistair today. Krasimir Naumov back on. Yes. Hot as hell in Bulgaria. Woo. Warren Chasser in Brisbane. Carlos Aviz down in Brasilia in South America, in Brazil. Chris Elliott, NC. What's that mean? North Carolina? Chris? Welcome, Peter Taylor, for sure, in New York City, and to all the rest of you. This is show number 535 for Friday, the 8th of July, 2022. Julia, I trust you are well.
I am.
Ooh, that shot looks blue, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I think you had your red coat on a minute ago. We were going to be port and starboard today, and then Julia took her red blazer off because it was blazing red, and it's warm here in the studio. It's summertime again. Welcome, everybody. This is another special Road to the GovCup. This is episode 7 with Cole Tapp from Australia, another delightful, terrific sailor, young guy, whom we've got a, 12, 13-minute segment with here in due course in the show. Let's get to the pre-start. Julie Aarons checking in from partly cloudy Cleveland, Don Lunabos up in Sonoma. Hi to all of you. Some sad news out of Japan, as I'm sure you all know. Shinzo Abe, Japan's former prime minister, dies after he was shot during a campaign speech. He's not running. He was, I guess, what was he, for his party? He was giving a campaign speech for one of his candidates. Japan's longest-serving leader died hours after he was shot last night while campaigning for a parliamentary election, shocking a country in which political violence is rare. Well, civil violence is rare, and guns are tightly controlled. Indeed, it was a shock for the sporting world. The IOC issued a statement mourning the death of former Japanese Prime Minister Abe Shinzo. That's the Japanese way of putting the family name Abe first. And IOC President Thomas Bach said, Japan has lost a great statesman, and the IOC has lost a valiant supporter and a dear friend of the Olympic movement. On behalf of the IOC, I would like to extend my most sincere condolences to his family, friends, and the Japanese people. Only his vision, determination, and dependability allowed us, President Bach is saying, to take the unprecedented decision to postpone the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. Without Prime Minister Abe Shinzo, these Olympic Games would never have happened, and the Olympic dream of athletes from all around the world would not have come true. He also wanted to be with us at the Olympic Games Paris 2024 to show his commitment to the Olympic movement and the trustful partnership and friendship which developed over time. The IOC president concluded, the entire Olympic movement and I owe him all our respect and gratitude. This is why we all will forever hold Abe Shinzo in great honor. As a mark of the IOC's high esteem, the Olympic flag will be flown at half-mast at Olympic House in Lausanne for 3 days. In 2020, he was awarded the Olympic Order by President Bach, the highest honor in the Olympic movement. Abe became the first Japanese prime minister to be bestowed with this prestigious honor, Reuters reported this morning. Sad day for Japan and for sportsmen and women everywhere. Shinzo Abe, 1954 to 2022. May he rest in peace. Julia, any thoughts about that before we go to Bojo?
He's not resting in peace.
Well,
Bojo's
not. No, that was a bit of a rough transition, but somebody said yesterday Bojo has lost his mojo.
I know. Yeah.
I don't know if I was going to run this in correct or crutonic, because I know some of you were big fans. Some of you were originally big fans and then lost your
I was
enthusiasm as he started to become, it seemed, more of a globalist and less of a pro, Britain first type guy. And that may be why but maybe it wasn't so much his policies, Julia, as it just simply was the scandals that engulfed him and his cabinet, including the party they had in the backyard at the height of COVID in the backyard at number 10.
What's it got to do? You got to have a little fun.
Yeah, I know, but then you got to wear masks. You can't do what our governor Gavin Newsom did by going up to the French Laundry and up by Don Lunabos in Sonoma, and what? Can't do that. Oh, the comments are coming in now.
Mm-hmm.
No scarf today, Julie Aarons is asking.
No.
Good afternoon, all, from beautiful sunny day in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Hi, Maura Stevens. Yeah, an absolute atrocity. Krasimir is saying, rest in peace.
Yes, he was really spectacular in many of the things he did.
Well, economically and advancing women in Japan. And remember, it was he and Trump also that brought the two countries together. He was, I think, the first person who received Trump or went to see Trump after he was elected. And moreover, Trump said, you ought to postpone the Olympics 1 year. He was the first one to suggest that. And the prime minister said, no, we can't possibly do that, which, of course, he had to say. He couldn't say, but they were all contemplating it. Maybe Her Majesty can do something useful, sort out the Bojo mess. Stingray up in Seattle is saying. And Gordon Smith told us, some, not just days ago, week or two ago, that he says Bojo was in big trouble. Gordon Smith. Okay, well, on that, it's kind of a sorry news on both fronts. Maybe some of you are happy about that, but we have some really good news from our Super Fozy Clark Chapin in Michigan. He had that horrific car crash on the 4th of July that cost his wife Karen's mother her life. But Karen has been in hospital, has had 3 surgeries now, and the news from Clark as of last evening is that Karen is doing quite well. It's going to be a long, slow recovery, months, if not years, but she does expect to get back to fully recovered in hopefully by the end of this year. And it's great news from our dear friend Clark Chapin, past Commodore, my home club in Michigan, the Portage Yacht Club, just outside of Ann Arbor. Here's a bit of news since our last show. It's not directly affecting sailing, but anything that has to do with water we like. And this, of course, is
Venice.
Venezia, flooded with
water.
No.
Tourists.
This bit of news, I guess they're just inundated since the COVID has wound down or is winding down. Italy's Venice becomes the first city in the world to announce an entry fee for tourists. Italy's Venice has become the world's first city to announce an entry fee as it is trying to tackle the problem of overcrowding. The city will charge 3 to 10 euros entry fee from tourists starting next January. What do you think of that?
I think it's terrible and it has to be done.
I guess. We had some good sailing events in Venice. We had an IACC event there. We had...
I like Venice.
Oh, I love Venice. I love Italy. Facebook user, who is that? That sounds like J. Frederick Bland. Austin is wicked hot today. Well, we all talk about the weather, but wherever you are in the world, welcome to our show number 535. Julia, do you know what day it is today?
Looks like shish kebab.
It is. So what day is it? 8th of July is...
Shish kebab day.
World Kebab Day.
Oh, kebab day.
It is. You were right. And I didn't know this, but probably everybody on here did. There's something special about a kebab, I agree. That combination of meat and vegetables skewered on a bamboo spear, or metal in our case, roasted over coals, the smoky flavor, the fantastic array of seasonings I'm getting hungry just reading this, or just the combination of a carnivores.
Yes.
Huh? Who's
Yes.
the carnivore in the house, Julia?
I am for
and
sure.
You're losing more weight. You're doing very well back on carnivore.
Yeah.
A carnivore's favorite treat. And the herbivore's secret vice makes it a place where we can all meet. You were going to say.
It wasn't important.
Okay. Now, where's that thing? What's this book? When Julia came down to the studio just now, she brought this book. This is not exactly a carnivore book. This is a keto book.
Yes.
What's the difference between carnivore and keto?
Keto has more carbs in it.
It does. What about carbs?
But they're low carbs, and I don't pay so much attention to it, except those recipes offer 20-minute things. That's for instant cooker too, which I also would not use. But it's for those of us who are physically challenged in the kitchen.
Well, you do pretty well in the kitchen, considering your struggles, your challenges to walk. You got the walker, and it gets you in and out.
Yeah.
I tell you what I like. I commend it to anybody. You talk about going off on a tangent. You know, we've been getting we get everything from Amazon. We get these Amazon kitchen prepared meals, and they come in a plastic thing, and you dump it into the frying pan, and you do the instructions, and you put something in the microwave for 2 minutes and plate it for 2 people for $11 or $12, and the meals are well, you've had 1 or 2 of them.
I have.
They're terrific. Okay, we digress. Krasimir saying €10 is a cost for a pack of cigarettes, not really restricting anything, but seems a good cash flow. Yeah. I wonder how they're going to enforce that. Nothing sells like a shortage. Yeah. Ted's checking in from Cape Town. Ted Ryman down in the Republic of South Africa. Julia, Alex Kent says to do a cooking show. Julia?
Actually, it would be fun to do a cooking on board show.
There are some. There's some YouTubes about cooking on boats.
I used to produce popovers at sea, which were always greeted with great joy.
And they were superb?
Yeah, of course.
Well, of course.
Of course.
Okay. World Kebab Day. It's, what do they say here? World Kebab Day celebrates this delicious barbecue favorite and its origins, and of course gives us an excuse to eat all the kebab. Okay.
And also sometimes is spoiled by taking really bad meat and doing it, and then really hard.
You got to have proper meat, right?
I know.
The better meat, the better the kebab. Welcome again to show 535. This is Friday the 8th of July, and we're at the starting line. And of course, we like to begin with our super Fozy John Emmett, our European correspondent. He's checking in from Weymouth, where he's on walkabout again today.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. It's really good to be back in sunny Weymouth, and you can see on this occasion I am definitely telling the truth. It's a sunny Weymouth, and it's that sea breeze time of year, July and August, where you have a gradient in the morning and a sea breeze in the afternoon, and indeed the early evening, so you can look at having 2 sessions in a day if you so wish, or you can obviously do gym, cycling, all these sort of things. So hopefully you enjoyed to have a little bit of sailing footage, and I'm taking you for a walk around one of the local parks. In fact, this is the park very close to my house that I used to take Lily for her active recovery in preparation for the 2012 games, and it's something I do a lot. It's quite a good way to collect my thoughts, and it's very close to my local gym, because of course sailing is absolutely a sport, and that means there's a big fitness requirement and something not to be overlooked. In fact, I've been very lucky for the support I've had from the Everyone Active, the local gym, which allows me to train, and I use the Morton products, which keep me well fueled, and Typhoon, who keeps me well dressed. And these little relationships are really important, and I think this idea of sort of being outdoors and being active is so important. I was chatting about the Masters, and it's still a bit of a hard realization that I am now properly a master. as in I'm in the over 45 category and officially middle-aged, if not more. Certainly my injuries seem to take a little longer to heal. I went for a bit of a slip after maybe consuming one or too many tequilas, and still suffering from the injury, whereas I think in your early 20s you seem to just bounce. Perhaps that's a lesson to myself. Well, maybe about drinking less tequila, or maybe just about being more careful, because it's amazing how long these little things take to recover. And I'm just in awe of the master sailors, and especially probably in the fin class, you know, guys who are sailing in their 70s and beyond. And I think that's a really, really good thing about the sport. We've said it many times, it's a sport for everyone. But it's also very much for all ages. So this is part of my active recovery, trying to get the lactic acid out my legs, and as I said, also quite a good place to collect my thoughts. Me in these particular fields, we have quite a few memories together, so hopefully the walking and the talking's getting better. Nobody's feeling too much motion sickness, and the sound quality is probably improving. And next week, you never know, I might even find a razor. So enjoy the show. It's interesting times. I'm just doing preparation, or was doing preparation for the Restart Sailing show, and it was hard to know what to say, because when we look at the global situation, in a lot of respects the pandemic is over. There's very few excess deaths from COVID, but then there's been quite a lot of excess deaths which may be indirectly related to it, and you know, this after effect. And it seems a very unstable time. That sounds like a weather term. Trying to come to terms with the UK has just lost the Prime Minister and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, this is probably a sailing show with drinking and politics problem, but I look forward to seeing you all later, and lots of lively discussion to be had. So start my walk home. Bye for now.
It's a good thing we didn't have our mics up during that video. Because who called it a Malamute? Somebody called it a Malamute. Dang, I bet a Stingray said, I bet the Malamute eats a lot. Did you see that? I was waiting for somebody to comment on that dog. John's walking. I wonder if John even knows that.
I'm sure he doesn't.
And I do. That's the first I saw it, because I look at John's video and I'm, processing it, sticking it into the show, and I look at the beginning, and then I listen to the last, minute or 30 seconds, but I didn't see the dog.
Well, that's all right.
Gordon Smith, thanks, John. Yeah, we always appreciate John's contributions to this show, and the food is going on here. Après sale. Morris Stevens says, I do all kinds of appetizers, dips that I can freeze and then thaw and pop in oven after a long day's racing. The crew loves them. Yeah, it's nice. Thank you, John Emmett. That was terrific. John Emmett, sailing, of course, get to the front of the fleet. I can't help it, Julie.
It wasn't that funny.
Well, it was funny.
Yeah. No, he's getting better and better. I like his dalliances and other topics. So
Julie Ahrens is saying, yeah, the dog certainly ate well. This is good health. I think the dog was a shit suit. Alistair Murray. Oh, it's Friday. It's Saturday morning down and out, so Alistair can say that. Funny man that he is. Thanks, John Emmett. That was a terrific piece. We've been talking. Yeah, but I don't want to leave that segment without saying how important it is to walk, and we should all be walking more and more and more. Even if you're somewhat impaired with your walker, you're still walking. You need to walk more. I need to walk more. We all do, and I commend John. You think of Steve Jobs and some of these people who when they needed to go out and do something,
they took a walk.
They took a walk to think it through and care. I think that's good. Stingray Wildlife Illustrated. I think the dog was a Shih Tzu. Oh, okay. I'm losing it here. We've been talking about backing the bid, the sail to LA, hashtag sail to LA, with parasailing getting back in the Olympics. This campaign, terrific campaign by World Sailing. We hope you're all, I challenged all of you, not just passing the challenge on from John Emmett to Alistair, but to others. So we hope you are all going to back the bid. Send us a video as well, if you will, like as did Fozy Andrew Pindar. He sent us a nice video, which I aired on, I guess, Tuesday's show, was it? Mm-hmm. Was it Tuesday's show? I think it was. And he's challenged a couple other Brits, and that's moving forward. Well, we also have now one of the people I challenged, who was, of course, Alistair Murray, who's on here watching, and Alistair submitted this.
G'day. I've accepted the challenge from Tom EHMAN. I have 2 wishes in sailing. After finishing top 10 in the Tazo Worlds about 6 times and no better than 4th, my wish is to win the Tazo Worlds one day. But let's be realistic, that's very unlikely to happen. So my other wish, far more attainable, and we should be able to get there, my other wish is to see sailing reinstated at the Paralympic Games. It should never have been dropped. It's the perfect sport for the Paralympics. Let's get it back in there where it belongs. What are your 2 wishes in sailing? I nominate Ian Brown and Chris Payne. See ya.
Nicely done, Alistair. Thank you very much for that. We're going to have Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote here later in the show. But just again, this was the stat put out in that nice video by World Sailing. I still argue with this 631 parasailers active globally. I think it's way more than that. And I wish David Graham, the fine new CEO there, sailing CEO, thank God, would up that number. But regardless, it does look like we are more than qualified as a sport to be back in the Paralympics, and we hope you will support it. If you want to submit a video as Andrew Pindar did and as Alistair Murray did, please do send it along. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be fancy. Turn your iPhone or your Android phone on, prop it up on some books, or have somebody shoot it for you, or with a little tripod, those things. You know, you can get, I had one here. You can get one of these iPhone clips on Amazon, at least we can here in the States, for about $9 or something, and it comes with a little tripod under it, and it's really easy. So it allows you to shoot anything, and as you know, everybody loves these videos that vary Gordon Smith, and of course that John sends every week. And don't be shy. Send us a video, please.
One thing that I'm taking joy in is that all of the sailing videos are paying more attention to the people.
They are indeed. That's a really good point, and I think we're going to see that some more today.
Yeah, and it makes it much more fun and relatable and funny sometimes, and very serious others.
Indeed. More comments. Hello, everyone. Western end of Lake Erie. Hi, Ken Saban is checking in from Toledo normally. I agree, Alistair. Go for number 2. What was that? Number 2.
But that was the sail push. I mean,
what his nomination was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a zoo once that only had 1 dog in it. Alistair Murray. we might just have him come on, and instead of doing an Aussie anecdote, he might just do jokes. He might do some stand-up for us and liven this show up a bit.
But the short ones are just as good.
Speaking of Alistair, let's get to his awesome Aussie anecdote. I added some music to Alistair's Murray's awesome Aussie anecdote, and he sent us a note saying, "Dear Tom and Julia, I'm very proud of this one. How many companies in the marine industry have their own band?" And this isn't their band isn't playing this one.
Yeah.
But does Harkin have one? He's asking. No, but Ronstadt does. Have a look at this.
Yeah.
So we have had one for the past decade, the Ronstadt Band, Alistair writes. The band comprises our lawyer, Tony, our production scheduler, Mike, our product development manager, Derek, and my fellow board member, operations director, Tim. They play at gigs all over the place, but mainly at yacht clubs where they are very popular.
I bet.
You can see. The video goes on. This video goes on and on. I'll just play a couple segments from it. Here's a little more tame segment, but shows a number of gigs in the variety of clubs. One of the gigs shows me dancing, that is Alistair, very enthusiastically and badly. In fact, I was invited to front the band at one gig and sing a song, which I did. That was a few years ago, and I've never been invited back. But nice stuff.
Yeah.
Bravo, Zulu. They're good.
Yeah.
Okay, Alistair, that's terrific stuff. Thank you very much indeed. And we even have an outro now for the. I'm going to do this for Emmett. He's going to be jealous.
Yes.
Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. Thank you, Alistair. That's great fun and music. It is indeed.
Yes.
Okay, here we're. Road to the Governor's Cup. Cole Tapper coming up here in this next segment. Balboa Yacht Club. This is the bumper that we'll be using when we do the television, one of the bumpers. Down at Balboa Yacht Club in a little over 2 weeks' time. In the GovCup 22s, 12 teams from around the world, and the oldest and most prestigious youth match racing championship in the world. Today, we're going to do Cole Tapper, as I mentioned. We've already done Jack Egan, Robbie King, Robbie McCutcheon, that is, had them on the show, Will Sargent, Jordan Stevenson, and Marius Vesterland, who has been my favorite all along, but wait till you see Cole, and then wait till you see next Tuesday, because next Tuesday is good. We've recorded Tuesdays, and it's really hilarious. Cole Tapper today, and enjoy. Welcome to the 7th edition of the Road to the 2022 Governor's Cup, the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Championship held annually by Balboa Yacht Club down in Newport Beach. Again today, we have GovCup guru Andy Rose with us from Newport Beach. And in Sicily, of all places, Cole Tapper from Australia, one of the skippers for this year's event. Andy, take it away.
Well, thanks, Tom. It's good to be back with you here and with another one of these skippers. It's going to be quite a year. Cole, I want to start with you. You know, as you may know, I sailed for Australia back in the day in the America's Cup, and so I learned a lot about Aussies and how to speak properly and all that. But Australia has something called the tall poppy syndrome, and it's a very egalitarian country, and they're very proud of that. And when someone sticks their head up too high, they chop it off. So the tall poppy syndrome. Well, you guys must be proving the most egalitarian group of sailors in the youth program down there now, because talk to me about that. We had Will on earlier, and your brother we've of course seen. And now you get a chance. How is that all working out? Everybody gets a chance to steer.
Yeah, I mean, we're just really lucky to have so many good skippers coming through our program with the CYC. And it's nice, we're all getting a run at skippering and having a different opportunity for each other. And, my brother Finn could potentially be doing it. It's his last year, but he's decided to, let me have a go, and we're sort of working together in a team that way to just build for the club and for the future and try and get the best result we can.
Well, you've stacked the deck, I think. You've got so many good sailors. You guys are going to be tough, I can tell. Well, let's go to the slides, Tom, and then I want to talk to Cole a little bit after about match racing and the CYC, et cetera.
Cole, here's the first one. You look, about 9 years old in this?
Yeah, well, I think I could be 11, actually. I was pretty late to grow up. But, yeah, that was one of my first sailing shots in Rose Bay in Sydney. I started sailing just by chance through my school. Neither of my parents sail, and they were just, really helpful in getting us out there and getting us into the sport from a young age, which was, what makes us fall in love with the sport, I guess.
Yeah, and that's an Opti. Here's must be a later shot in an Opti.
Yeah, so being a bit of a small person myself, I spent quite a long time in the Opti program. Wasn't quite big enough to move out, so got lots of good racing in the Optis, and that really set me up sort of to move into other boats.
Why cool change?
Cool change. Well, I spent years going around and around with my boat names. I started with the Flying Kiwi. Because I was born in New Zealand, but then I thought if I'm going to be sailing for Australia, I have to represent properly and don the colours. So I changed to Cool Change, and yeah, just that one though. So.
And then this is what, college sailing?
Yeah, so that's at my school, and we did teams racing actually against Will, the other skipper from Australia. We had a very tense rivalry all the way through school, and that's sort of what made us fall in love with the fighting or the dueling aspect of sailing, and using the rules to just take advantage of the other competitor or be caught out yourself is something that's very interesting, and something that I've always, found my main passion in the sport for.
Looks like you've done some 420 sailing as well.
Yeah, I sailed the 420s for a couple of years, and they're a great boat to just, learn some technical stuff and go overseas and get beaten up by Europeans who've been sailing the boats for years and just know them so well. So, it was pretty eye-opening first going overseas and just being at the back of the pack and just trying to learn whatever you can. But I think we've come a little way since then.
Andy, were you going to comment about the 420s?
No, I think, that's an I-420, which are actually kind of neat. We use the C-420s here for college, and they're boats. We'll just leave it at that.
Not so pretty. Yeah.
Okay, well, how about your match racing? You've got quite an esteemed career already in match racing.
Yeah, so match racing, I started when I was around 15 or 16, and I began just, floating on whichever boats I could, trying to learn from guys like Harry Price, who were down at the sailing club, and my brother Finn was sailing, and just all those people, and I'd get on and float and just, be a part of the boat whenever I could, even if I was doing pretty much nothing. But, just learning from that made me love the sport and really want to get into it myself more.
Who's coming with you to GovCup?
So I have two other people with me, and that's my brother, Finn Tapper on the main, who has done a GovCup himself. And we've sailed together a lot, which is great. And George Richardson, who will be trimming. And he's another person that's been like a big influence in my life sailing. I've done a lot of sailing with him, and him being a bit older, he just brings, so much experience with these boats and all sailing in general. So I'm really lucky to have both of those guys on board helping out.
Andrew, you always like to ask if he's going to sail 3 or 4 up.
Well, I think he said 3. It'll be interesting this year.
3 at the moment.
Yeah.
If we lose some weight, we might be able to squeeze on a 4th, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. It seems to have been proven over the years now. We've started using these particular boats in 2016. And in the first one, Nevin Snow won, and the boat that got 12th also was 4 up. Both of them were 4 up. Everybody else was 3. I think you're going to see more 4 ups this year. But, maybe partly because last year I think we scared everybody. It blew about 18 or so every day. And that is not, shall we say, typical Newport Beach conditions. So this will be interesting to see, but I think you'll see more 4 ups. They'll probably, there'll be more 3 ups, I think, but there will be a larger number of 4 ups, but we'll see. Well, let me go back to something you said, because it fits in perfectly with match racing. When we were talking about one of the slides, you said that, you like the tactics and using the rules and all that. Well, match racing, of course, is the, match and team racing are the 2 disciplines in the sport that, that do that most. So, you should fit right in, and your record certainly shows that you're pretty competent. Sailing with your brother, this is always interesting, and we seem to be having a lot of them lately, brother acts. We started off years ago with 2 twin brothers sailing together, and they were hilarious because they were always, at each other's throats, sort of, but, lovingly, shall we say. How is it with, as I said, you guys are all trading off steering. Does he is he tactician, or do you just tell him to shut up and you sail, or what?
Look, that is a tough one, and I mean it's hard, especially when you have someone on board who just has so much more experience than you. But I just take it as a blessing. But I think we both are willing to understand that it's the skipper's judgment call at the end of the day, and if you go against them and it's wrong, it's on you. But that's part of sailing, and that's part of trusting your teammate. And I think that we've been good in the past sailing together, but you never know. I mean, we've had sibling rivalry all through our childhood, especially picking the same sport. But being on the same team's a really nice change, actually.
Great. Well, that's good. Well, we look forward to seeing Finn. He would have been an early invitee the last 2 years just because of his record. But of course, we had to cancel the Cup in 2020, and you guys weren't able to go anywhere. So I believe your first international match racing regatta was in Wellington just recently. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, although it feels like I've actually been doing it for a long time, we've been stuck to Australian shores and just doing the local regattas, which, you know, has still been very good preparation, but we're just super excited to get overseas. And I was actually in New Zealand earlier this year before Wellington, sailing in the Harkin with Finn and on his boat. And, you know, we just remembered why we love traveling with the sport and how amazing the opportunities that you get are. So we're just so grateful to be supported by the CY in that, and, you know, really getting to compete with the best out there.
Well, I should give a shout out to the CYCA. When we've built 2 sets of boats, as you may know, these ones are pretty awesome, the Governor's Cup 22s, but we've done it all with contributions, mostly from Belleville Yacht Club members, but there were a couple contributions from non-Belleville Yacht Club members, and one of them was from the CYCA, which we greatly appreciated. They just wanted to thank us for continuing to do the Governor's Cup, and so we really appreciate that. It's a great club. I've spent a lot of hours there before Sydney Hobart races and stuff.
Andy, we should say for our viewers who the CYCA is and what their signature event is that they run.
Well, the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia is great location, great people, and the Sydney Hobart race is run by them. And I've done a couple of those, and it's sort of one of the classic. You know, I don't know if you can really say you're an international ocean racer unless you've done a Hobart, but it can be pretty ugly. After the first one, I said I'd never do it again, and I didn't until the next year. But it's quite a race, about a 600 some odd mile race from Sydney down to Hobart, Tasmania. So it's great fun. Well, Will, I think I am going to be fascinated here. Last year, as you may know, because you guys couldn't come, Australians and New Zealanders or the Brits couldn't come. It was a Europe versus the USA, and we had Emil Kjær here from Denmark, and as he's gone on to become one of the top match racers in the world. But this year, everybody's back. Traditionally, we've had the first international competitor was from New Zealand in 1988, and it's gone on from there. And I think since then, I believe Aussies and Kiwis have won something like 17 out of 30 whatever. So it's great. It'll be great to have you guys back. It'll feel like even more like the Governor's Cup, and we got a lot of fun things planned. And I can't guarantee 18 knots, but you never know.
Yeah, we couldn't be more excited as a team. Everyone says the Governor's Cup's one of the biggest events on the calendar, and they put on a great show for you. So I just can't wait to see what you guys have in store, and hopefully the conditions hold up to make it the perfect regatta. Well,
I think you'll do well. And one last thing, you guys, we've always felt, because we are not limited to one sailor per country like the Worlds is, that the Governor's Cup really has better competition and is by far the more prestigious event. So clearly, I understand that Finn is steering in the Worlds, or is that, or are you sailing in the Worlds?
Yes, I'm sailing in the Worlds with Finn and with Will. Actually, we're all on the same boat for that regard.
Right, that's what I thought. So obviously they picked you to sail the Governor's Cup, being the more prestigious regatta. So you won that battle.
Yeah, well, I think it's sort of a pathway thing for us, and he had his sights set on this regatta, and it was one that he was the only person to earn a world selection, and he was kind enough to let some of the younger sailors who are developing and who are still great sailors in their own right have a go at it, and be there to help the team and show. And he didn't want to miss this regatta because he just knows what a great one it is. So
well, that's great. Well, we're looking forward to seeing all you guys. Well, that's about all for me. 3 weeks doesn't seem like very long. I wish you luck on the flight. We figured that all you guys, there are a number of teams that are coming to Governor's Cup from Worlds. all you guys are going to be flying on the 24th, probably on the same flight. I'd love to be a fly on the wall of that flag, I tell you, listening to.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think
one last question.
Very long flight.
Sorry, Cole, go ahead. It's going to be a what?
It's going.
We had a bit of drop out there, and
It's going to be a very long flight, that one, and straight back into it after a tough day to wish for. Other than 2 weeks of the best sailing you can get.
Speaking of a few audio and video challenges, there, what are you doing in Sicily?
I'm actually with my family. We're meeting up with a few family members just before the regatta, and we're coming all this way, and so we were lucky enough to stop off beforehand and just take some time to relax before the regatta and before we get training really hard.
Great. Well, enjoy the rest of your time in Europe. Enjoy the time at the Worlds in France. And Andy, unless there's anything else, we'll wish you both a good day and safe travels.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you very much for having me on. Thanks, guys.
Ciao, guys. Thank you. The technology to have somebody in a hotel in Sicily, and we tee this up by email. He comes on. There's no rehearsal. The kid is bright. He's funny, as all these sailors are. And they're going, as you gathered there at the end, a lot of them are going to the World Sailing, World Youth World Match Racing Championships, which are in France next week. And then they all leave there and fly on Sunday west. And there's a bunch of them. There's, I don't know, 6, 8, 10, I don't know how many of them coming then to Newport Beach for the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Championship going on. This is the 55th year. The Governor's Cup.
Yes.
So there's, they're all going to be flying together on that plane, and it'll be a hoot. I hope they all make it, given what's going on in the plane world today. So that's Cole Tapper, and as you know, the Rose Cup winner gets an invite normally, but since Morgan Pinckney was already invited, the Rose Cup winner, it's actually the alternate who was the selectee, was Ansgar Jordan from down at Coronado Yacht Club in San Diego. So we're getting him teed up, and the remaining 2 or 3 others we haven't gotten on the show yet. But next Tuesday, we will have Morgan Pinckney. We recorded an interview with him yesterday, and the guy is sharp. He's only, I think, 16. He's got 5 more years in the GovCup. Maybe he's 17 now, and he's wonderful. And it's don't miss next Tuesday's show with Morgan Pinckney.
Do you have a relative who is sailing, or am I thinking about Michigan?
There's a whole, you're thinking perhaps of both, but there's a whole Pinckney family at Newport Harbor Yacht Club. The brother, his older brother, one of his brothers, has been the coach at Balboa Yacht Club.
Oh,
and has sailed very well. And his family, and they're surfers, and they're water people. They live right on the water at Newport Beach. And of course, the postal, you're thinking of the Postal Code where the Portage Yacht Club is. My home club is in Michigan. It's actually outside of Ann Arbor, but it's technically called Pinckney, Michigan.
Yes.
Little town. And there was some British guy named Pinckney who did something. Who knows?
Oh, that deserves a little research.
So next Tuesday, Morgan Pinckney. And here's the television schedule starting a week from next Monday. This is the 25th. Is that right? 7th, 15th, 20th. Yeah. The 25th, week after next, we will be doing live 10 shows down there, starting on Monday night, Meet the Teams. Every morning, Wednesday through Saturday, we do a pre-race show, a morning show with all the kids, with some of the officials, a couple of interviews. Then we're live with racing on Friday and Saturday, starting at 11:30 Pacific, which is add 7 hours to that for UTC, so 18:30. And then we'll cover live also the press conference Friday night, and the press conference and the awards on Saturday night, all on the BYC GovCup Facebook page and the Balboa Yacht Club YouTube channel, both. And that is going to be, of course, at Balboa Yacht Club under that tent. That's last year's tent, I think a year or 2 years ago, where we do all the regatta work. It's beautiful weather down there this time of year, the 25th through the 30th of July, the 55th Governor's Cup. And that week, we will have a Tuesday show. Our regular TE Live will be live Tuesday. I'll do it down there and interview the regatta chair, and we may actually have Andrew McIrvin on.
Oh,
he's I talked to him this morning. He's at court. Andrew just arrived just literally today, just minutes before we talked. he'd arrived. He'd sailed up to Cork, Ireland.
Oh, did he?
For the 300 and what is it?
Oh, he
first?
did say he was going to do that. Yeah,
What,
right.
The 301st year of what's probably the oldest yacht club, reputed to be the oldest yacht club, the Royal Cork Yacht Club. So they're having fun up there. And we're either going to get Andrew on the show next week, Tuesday or Friday, he said, or maybe on that Tuesday show at GovCup, we'll do something remote. But we want him to talk about this, get him latest on COVID, the BA4, the BA5, which has got it's hyper contagious, it sounds like, maybe not very deadly. But also the excess death rate, which they're seeing now in the UK, excess year over year deaths are up something hugely statistically, like 16, 17%. And the insurance companies in this country are reporting the same. And Andrew's going to look, he's checking all that, as I'm sure many of you are. Is it because the vaccine? Probably not, or maybe partly. Is it because of people putting off treatment for minor things or for cancer or other things, not getting checkups and not discovering things?
Yes.
Suicide, depression, whatever it is, just people. Yeah. So there's something going on. We want to get into that a little bit with Andrew McIrvin, the good doctor, either next week or on that Tuesday show down at Balboa Yacht Club. Again, we'll be down there the 25th through the 30th. Thank you, Cole Tapper. Good stuff. That brings us to this day in history, the 8th of July, 2021. So it's recent. You should get this one, Julia.
I should. What
happened a year ago? Here's your first clue. A year ago. You know who that is?
It looks like Magellan.
Same era, actually. Pretty close. Magnificent hair and beard, though. He's a painter and was a Renaissance man in every sense of the word. That's Leonardo
da Vinci.
Yes. 1452 to 1519. So what happened a year ago? That's your clue. Your first clue. Kebab Day, Gordon Smith is saying. Well, you all know he was a Renaissance polymath, painter, sculptor, architect, musician, engineer, and inventor. He's chiefly remembered as one of the greatest painters of all time. His inventions and designs, get this, there is a yachting connection here. Inventions and designs including flying machines, a tank, concentrated solar power, I didn't know that, an adding machine, the double hull, and a theory of plate tectonics, okay? Now, what happened a year ago, apropos Leonardo da Vinci? There's your final clue. Go on here. I'll give you one more clue. Do you know what that is?
The Russian bear.
No, it's Da Vinci's head of a bear. It's a drawing that was something very small, circa 1480. I'm really dragging this one out. We're going from 1480 to 2001. The head of a bear is a drawing study made by Da Vinci circa 1480. It is small in scale, measuring only 7 by 7 centimeters.
Wow.
A little less than 3 inches square, and is rendered in silver point pencil. Yada, yada, yada. The point is here in the last sentence, the American billionaire Thomas Kaplan purchased the drawing in 2008 for some exorbitant sum, and it sold last year on this date for a total of 8.8 million pounds, a record for a drawing by Da Vinci. So in 2021, this tiny sketch, head of a bear, sells at auction in London for $12.2 million on this day. And that's this day in history, Julia, of over 541 years. I thought that was pretty good.
That was.
Okay, now.
His beard looks soft and good, and I almost no beard looks soft and good.
Emmett's?
No, his beard does not look soft and good.
You recognize this curve? This is Tom's. Tom goes off on another tangent. Okay, I'm going to go off on a tangent now.
Yeah.
Apropos that this day in history story. There is a drawing, in fact, it is the drawing, supposedly, by Da Vinci.
Of the double hull?
Of the double hull. He proposed the double hull for naval vessels as a defense, of course, against ramming and protection from underwater damage from reefs or wreckage, so that even if the outer hull was whole, the ship would stay afloat. You'd think somebody would have thought of that even before, the 14 or 1500s, but apparently he was the first one. Hey, why don't we have a double hull? And I don't know that he was a mariner. This, you know what that ship is? I wonder if any of our FOSI can recognize that ship. Somebody on here, the Brits will know. Not bad for a doodle, Gordon Smith is saying.
The Titanic.
The line work is really, well, Titanic did have a double hull, as a matter of fact. The line work is really nice. Yep, Baton Rouge, Baton Kennon down in Charleston. Thank you for the picture you follow. But I digress here while I'm off on a tangent. This is 1855, 4 years after the America's Cup, AC-0. That is the SS Great Eastern, built in London. It was the first double-hulled, major ship. And this ship was huge. It was something like 4 or 5 times bigger than any other ship that had been built to that time in the 1850s. And it was built to the design of this English mechanical and civil engineer, Isambard Kingdom, Brunel. Launched in 1858, was the biggest ship built to that time and the first double-hulled ship. Brunel, thank you, Ted Ryman. No, not a dreadnought, not HMS Victory. This is the launch date sometime in 1858, so 7 years after AC-0. It's being launched. And supposedly, according to Maclean's magazine, it's an article from 1949 up in Canada, the ship that was cursed. The new giant was not only immensely big, she was also immensely unlucky. So unlucky that people talked of her as a ship under a curse. Nearly every time she sailed, she killed or maimed at least one man on board. She ruined the company that built her and every successive company that bought her and all but 2 of her charterers. Early screw propeller ship. No, it had sails and its side wheels. It had those massive side wheels. It didn't have propellers. And it was a sail. It was a hybrid, a combo. So there she is. Now, you know where she is in that picture? New York City in 1860.
Oh.
Yeah, ship workers died. All manner of people died in connection with this boat.
I've never heard the name.
The Great Eastern.
Yeah.
And she was built, believe it or not, according to Wikipedia, she had the capacity to carry 4,000 passengers from England to Australia without refueling.
To rid England of
some of their, to empty out the jails.
Empty out the jails, right.
So that was part of the reason. So did the ship, now here's the final question in this segment, as I've gone off on a tangent. Did that ship ever go to Australia?
Probably not.
It did not. It was so, the thing had so many problems. It did not go to Australia. It went back and forth to New York with some passengers. And finally they, I don't know, 20, 30 years later, they took it apart. It never did go to Australia on what was its initial mission. And that's the end of Tom Goes Off on another tangent, thankfully. Legend, Ed Worley says that a skeleton was found in the hull when the ship was broken up.
Oh.
Sting wrote a song about her. Is that right? John Lamberts Van Buren in the Netherlands is saying. Wow, okay. So much for all that. While we're still on, that was this day in history. While we're on that, I just wanted to wrap with this little note from Sail Magazine that in Newport, Rhode Island, the Sailing Museum is up and running. If you're in Newport this summer or any time in the future, after a lot of years of hard work and raising money, the Sailing Museum, which we featured on here before, has now officially opened in Newport, located in Newport's historic Armory building where the America's Cup press conferences used to be held prior to the loss of the Cup in '83. The museum offers an innovative multimedia experience for both cruisers and racers. It includes the National Sailing Hall of Fame and the America's Cup Hall of Fame among its many exhibits. Opening the museum fulfills a long-standing vision of the organization's founders, a dream 17 years in the making, says the museum's executive director, Heather Rusum. She's terrific. Rusum rhymes with gruesome. That's how I remembered to pronounce her name. She told me that. Quote, the Sailing Museum is not only intended to preserve the history of the sport, but to educate and inspire future sailors and innovators. For museum hours and complete listing of exhibits, go to thesailingmuseum.org.
They've done some really interesting, wonderful things in that museum.
Indeed. And I've not been in it, but maybe this fall I'll get there and we will do a segment of the show live. Heather's invited us to do that
Right.
from the museum. And Andy Rose, in fact, and I are talking about an opportunity that we might take to do just that. David James is saying, yes, she actually, back on the Great Eastern, she laid the first telegraph cable from London to New York City. Yeah, the boat ended up being taken over, and that nobody could make the thing work economically. They tried to make it a mail carrier as well as carrying passengers, and then they tried to make it a cable layer. Is that what you call it? Cable layer? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are going to go back to the museum now. We are going to go on a virtual tour in a future program, either because Heather herself, the executive director, the esteemed executive director, will take us on a tour, or if I get there sometime sooner than later, we'll do a show from there.
We've done a short virtual tour.
We've done a video. We've had a couple of videos that they produced, and we'll do that as well. Welcome again to show 535. We're about an hour in, 56 minutes in, and I see that Greg Newman, Father Newman, has joined us, and Igor Sturba, there's a new name, don't recognize the name, Glenn Van Heel, Yerke Yarvey have all joined us. I see you all on, and you comment if you will. We appreciate all of you joining us as usual. Bravo Zulu, in this bunch of them, it's the height of the Northern Hemisphere summer, so there's a lot of sailing going on. Some very cool things, including the Optimus Worlds, which just wrapped up. And this is a kind of a double-edged thing. I don't normally celebrate U.S. teams per se, but they did. This is the U.S. Optimus team that won the team racing, which they have done a number of times in the past X many years. And Bravo Zulu to them. Now hear them jumping off a boat. This is the picture that was sent out by IOTA, the International Optimist Dinghy Association, without any names of any of the kids. And here's the press release. The 2022 Arcus Optimus was in Turkey. Optimus Team Racing World Champions have been revealed. Okay, now here's the press release. Today, the championship has concluded the 5th day. There was a great excitement for the races today. It was clear how important this event is for sailors. Each country fought fiercely, Julia.
Oh, yes.
I mean, if Talbot Wilson is watching, or Bernie Wilson is watching, or any of you other PR types, Robert Deves, you'd never write a press release where in the second paragraph, I mean, that first paragraph was bad enough. The second paragraph, the weather fluctuated wildly throughout today's races. You don't say. Where's the it doesn't say champagne conditions in here. Initially, conditions were much calmer than yesterday. Who cares? Who won and what are their names? Towards the middle of the day, the wind speed increased to practically ideal, yada, yada, yada. The weather, that's the second paragraph. Mm-hmm. The third paragraph. Okay, the 16 teams were eliminated, talking about the history of the thing. Okay, great, that's more like it. But the final round started with a Ukrainian win over Sweden. Okay, finally, the well-rested Americans won over the Ukrainian team, taking the title. USA last won the Team Racing Worlds in 16 and 17. Good. In the final standings, Ukraine placed second, Sweden third. Okay, bravo Zulu to the teams, especially the American team. But, geez, both days of the team racing competition were streamed live on the World Championship YouTube channel. It was never promoted. I couldn't find it. I did go look for it to see if there was anything. The event was a memorable experience for competitors. There is a photo I grabbed, some from a video of the prize giving. They had a long prize giving, very elegant affair, very nice looking, kids all looking nice. Bravo Zulu to them all. And then I believe, and Baton Kennan will know the names. These are the 5 sailors, I believe, who comprised that team. Cole Fanchi, Gil Hackle, James Pine, who was from Baton Rouge's hometown of Charleston, Travis Greenberg, who is from St. Francis Yacht Club. Julia.
Wow.
And David Coates. Now, do I know which is which? No, I'm sorry, I don't. And I couldn't find that anywhere, not from the USODA, the IODA, and it's Crutonic that they don't do a better job putting names with faces. Robert Deves, who's the consummate PR guy for the Finn class, the 5.5 meter class, always does that.
Chris Boom won a national championship with the Euclids.
Euclids.
Now, I mean the new name for the
Ilkas.
Ilkas, yeah.
Ilkas, okay. So here was the fine. I think they wrapped up yesterday, the day before, but the Thai sailor Wika Bhanuband won. Again, the Thai, that country and the sailors are very, very strong, not only in the team racing, but won overall. Wika did. And then James Pine, the aforementioned, who I have a photo, thanks to Baton Rouge, of James Pine.
Ooh.
Nice shot, who was second. Thank you, Baton Rouge.
What a shot.
McKinnon for sending that. Third place was Francesco Carrieri from Italia. Daniel Mikhailichenko, I guess you'd say, from Ukraine. And Henrik Vigfors from Sweden was fifth. I don't know how to pronounce Sviatoslav Madanic from Ukraine was sixth. So you got two Ukrainians in the top 10. Bravo Zulu to them. Eric Scheidt, the son of Robert Scheidt, sailing for Lithuania, was seventh. Another Swede, Malcolm Dahlberg, in eighth. Davi Nevis from Brazil, ninth. And Ioannis Tournis from Greece. I guess that's right. Ioannis Tournis from Greece was 10th. Bravo Zulu to them all. And I wish they would do a little video editing of their long racing coverage that they did and give us a 2-minute capture of it. Now, starting today and running through next Friday, I guess it is the Youth Worlds in Aarhus. Have a look. Did I say Aarhus? It's actually in Den Haag, in The Hague. We've been talking about it because they're also going to run this youth parasailing event. Remember, Julie, we covered that not too long ago, and John Emmett's been helping guide us on that, as have others. But this is the World Sailing's World Youth Sailing Championship going on starting today through the next week in Den Haag in The Hague, and we'll be covering that as well. That really nice video. I love the parts of the shows when Tom makes pronunciation guesses. Thanks, Stingray. To hell with you. Great Opti photo, and it was a great photo of the Elliots in Cole. Yeah, those Elliots, you know where they were, Alistair? Where those Elliot, do you remember, Julie, the two in Cole Tapper's interview where the boats are in a lot of breeze and blown away? You know where that was? It was in New Zealand, the Elliot Sixes. It was in Wellington. Not in Auckland. It was in Wellington.
That was a great picture.
Yeah. Now we're back on the Great Eastern. John Lammert's Van Buren is saying, just looked up that song by Sting, The Ballad of the Great Eastern. Interesting. He wrote it for the Broadway musical The Last Ship. Look it up on YouTube or so. Great song and lyrics. Thank you.
Oh, good. We will.
Posey are so smart, and they're good with Google. The more you watch, the more you learn. It's important to familiarize yourself by watching.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Julie Ahrens. Now, another Bravo Zulu. A lot of you have been asking after this class, the esteemed 5.5 meter class. That wrapped up a couple of days ago. Their worlds, that is. And Jeannie from Great Britain won, I think, both races the final day. Peter Morton, who many of you will know, Peter Morton's Jeannie, GBR 42 with, see this? The names right there in the press release.
Isn't that nice?
Covered by Sail World, but this is from their class PR. Robert Deves, Elliot Hansen, Andrew Palfrey. These are good sailors. Sam Haynes, and the boat designed by the esteemed David Holland and built in Cowes in the UK has won the 5.5 meter World Championship in Hanko in Norway on Tuesday after winning both races on the final day. In the last 10 days, they have rewritten history by winning both the Scandinavian Gold Cup and the World Championship, becoming the first British boat to win either event. So Bravo Zulu to them. And they had a pretty good turnout. I had notes here somewhere on how many boats. Maybe it's in one of these other press statements, but they had a bunch of boats from a bunch of countries. I even counted them up. I digress, but nonetheless, we're an old classic class by now. It's a development class. That's why the hulls aren't the same shape. And of course, this boat was in the Olympics back in the 50s? 60s. New Moon 2, and this is a Bahamian boat. There's a big fleet of these in the Bahamians, thanks to a long gone friend of ours from IYRU days, and I'll tell you more about him in a minute. But the Bahamian 24, BAH 24, Mark Holowesko, Christoph Berger, and Anthony Nossiter. There's another great sailing family. Had led all week, only once outside the top 3, but could only watch. Thank you, Julia. As Jean Genie, is that how you pronounce that?
Jean Genie.
Jean Genie. Sailed, it's British, so Jean Genie might be. Sailed away from the fleet in both the final races. Defending champion Artemis, Norway 57, Christian Nørgaard, Johan Barn, and Trond Sali Sather ended 3rd. Nice stuff. Beautiful photo. And
yes.
These photos are also taken by their class PR, by the aforementioned Robert Deves. So there they are, Elliot Hansen, Mark Holowesko, Christian Nørgaard, John Bacon, and Craig Simonet, also from the Bahamas. Craig Simonet was 5th. His dad, Bobby Simonet, a longtime friend, was a longtime board member, senior serious guy in the IYRU days, and a leader of the sport, and not only the 5.5 class, the star class, and so on. Great family name in the Bahamas. And thanks again, and bravo Zulu, to their class PR, to this guy, Robert Deves, whom I've not met, but we correspond regularly. He's also the PR for the Finn class and the OK Dinghy class. And guess what? These classes also have terrific PR, including this video from the Finn World Masters, which wrapped up today. Video is from yesterday or the day before. Yesterday. I don't think there's any talking heads in this video, but what fabulous footage. What a fabulous class. Music Illustrated. I think they're talking about the info there on Sting from. There's another couple of comments. Boy, they're coming in.
Yeah, they're
from John Lambert's Van Beer. While we're talking about music, you know that Waltzing Matilda piece?
Yeah.
That I was using now, I am using for, I hope Alistair likes that. That's the Royal Australian Naval Band. We had to keep it naval music. I couldn't just use any. Yeah. What a great class. Bravo Zulu to them. And the winner was Peter Jan Posma. He lifts the Finn World Masters title in Helsinki. It wrapped up today, just 2 months after winning his first ever Finn Gold Cup. That's their world championship, age unrestricted. Peter Jan Posma from the Netherlands has become the first person in history to also win the Finn World Masters in the same year. He has put together a picket fence, meaning all bullets, scoreline this week in Helsinki, Finland, and has had an amazing time with the Masters fleet. Laurent Hay from France held on to second, while Pete, there's a great name, from the Netherlands, was third. Julie, you know who these guys are? This is still at the Finn Masters.
No.
This is the Super Legends. John Emmett, take a note here. The Super Legends are over 80, sailing in the Finn. And that video you just saw, that's Richard Hart on top from Great Britain and Howard Sellers, also from Great Britain. So two Brits were I guess the only two over 80 guys, but sailing in that event. And there was a quote in the press release from Mr. Hart saying, yeah, this is probably my last year. He's 80 something. I don't know how old.
Good for him.
But he's been saying that for the last 10 years.
I know.
So once a Finn sailor, always a Finn sailor.
Yeah.
Fabulous stuff. There are women in this. She may have been the only one since I don't see any others on the podium with her, but Bravo Zulu to Tina Weinreich from Austria. Big gal, strong, obviously a strong person, got a lot of sun, and Bravo Zulu to her, competing alongside the men. She wasn't last. She was in the middle of the pack. And here is the best country. They award the Nations Cup to the sailors that comprise the best score. I don't think it's just the greatest number of sailors. I think it's maybe the best score. The Netherlands, terrific stuff. And get this, this year was the first time the event has been held in Finland, the boat called the Finn.
Incredible.
And the furthest north, and of course, the boat was dedicated on the occasion. It was designed and accepted for the 1952 Helsinki Games. And that's when it first started. It was in the games from 52 until when? Well, this last time.
Yeah.
This was the last time in Tokyo. This year was the first time the event has been in Finland and the furthest north it has ever been. Next year, the event goes far down south to Kavala in Greece, where already the class is expecting in excess of 250 entries. Bringing it back to somewhere near pre-COVID numbers. For those that think a trip in May to sail with fellow Finn enthusiasts sounds like fun, there's more information here and more will be released very soon. If only my back could take that. Bravo Zulu again to Robert Deves.
Yeah.
Now we move on for another Bravo Zulu. This is the racing that is going on in Aarhus. This is the Europeans for the 49er, the 49er FX, and of course, the NACRO. Those three classes are run by the same managers, the same officers, and they do a nice job together, the three of them. There are two videos. I'm not going to run the class video because it's too long, and it wasn't Crutana. It was okay, but better yet still is the Australian sailing team video. And thanks, Alistair, for commending this to us, by the esteemed Bo Outeridge, Nathan's brother, who is a great videographer and photographer. Have a look.
Pulled pork, baby. It's nice and heavy in the stomach, swinging it down.
So good.
Went out today, no expectation, just keeping it fun, making sure we were on the lift attack, same as yesterday. We've got really good speed at the moment, which we're really happy about. And yeah, banged out, I think, a 4:13, something close to that. So yeah, happy day.
Second downwind, first race. It got really windy and we were sort of sitting around 8th or 9th and boats just started falling over in front of us and to the left, to the right of us, and kept it upright. We came in with a 4th in that first race. That's always nice to turn that into some good points.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, the Aussie squad's going great guns as far as I can tell at the moment. Sounds like Jim and Sean had a really good day on the other course, and we had TB, Simo and Max and Jack on Bravo course with us, and all three boats were towards the front most of the day, kind of racing each other, which is a good thing. Yeah, it's nice to have everyone towards the front of the fleet a little bit more than the start of the season, so that means that some things that we've been working on are working, they're paying off.
How nice was that video?
Yeah,
you know, the U.S., in addition to recruiting coaches from the medal maker from Australia, ought to recruit Bo Outeridge to come make videos for our sailing team, go to these events, promote it, help the sponsors get more visibility, help interest more kids in sailing. I mean, I think that Bo Outteridge is doing a great job for the Australian sailing team.
Yes.
And for Olympic sailing in Oz in general. I mean, it's just fabulous stuff. Tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah, they're back talking about this, what did Emmett say? He said, yeah, meaning Postman, he's the first, probably the best fin sailor ever to win a medal. And John Lamberts van Buren in the Netherlands saying, yep, PJ is such a legend and super cool guy, amazing. And Netherlands produces a lot of tall people. That boat is Richard Morris. That boat is physical, challenging for the young body. I think he's talking there about the 49er. Yeah. So Helsinki was also 70 years. Yes, John Van Buren, since the fin was first used. We featured that in a segment not too long ago, this being the 70th anniversary of the Helsinki Olympics of 52, where the fin was first used. Great day for the Italian NACRA in Fin FX. Yes, Finland FX. True. So why is the fin class not in the Olympics?
Yes.
Good question.
Good question.
Ed Worley. These are a great example of modern high-speed boats, meaning the 49ers. I think Emmett's talking about. Yeah, they look so cool, Stingray's saying. Stingray, you ought to get one. Sail it up there in Seattle with some of your friends up there. In order to finish first you have to finish. Great thing about Bo is he gets videos out super quick. Yes, that's the other thing. A class that has their world's end and then doesn't get a video, even Sail GP sometimes doesn't get videos out for 3 or 4 or 5 days later. I'm sorry. If I have to work all night to get this show put together, Julia, as you know, you wanted to go to the yacht club last night, and I said, sorry, it's show day. I put 13 hours in putting this show and recording with Andy our segment for next Tuesday, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying you got to make hay while the sun shines. Tom, that was in response to the 80-plusser sailing fins. Okay, thank you, David Morse. Yeah, it's amazing that these people are doing that.
Yeah, so, and they've always seemed to have great regattas, the fins.
It's a great class, and and any class that attracts that number of people year in and year out, over and over, people from all over the world, all these different countries, like the Star class, like even the 5.5, like the Lightning and the Snipe.
Yeah,
these are great classes. And maybe it's better for them not to be in the Olympics. There are people who will make that argument as well.
Well, that could be, and I haven't really thought that through. But I mean, there are lots of reasons not to.
Bravo Zulu to the Australian sailing team and those guys. Now, we're going to shift over to Japan, and they're at the same regatta, and our Fozy Leo Takahashi.
Oh, Leo.
I'm with Leo Takahashi and Tim Morishima, Team Japan, and we want to talk about the subject of the cutoff. So it's always 25 for the Gold Fleet. And, I've watched your guys' career. You guys are awesome, right? And sometimes you get put in this position where it's kind of do or die. Today's the last day of the cutoff. So there's some pressure. But just tell me about, how the regatta's gone for you and what you've been working on and what the goal is for today.
Yeah, so it's been a great week for us. We've kind of put ourselves in a position where we kind of didn't think we would be. So right now it's just still time for us to just stick to the basics. We're still quite new as a team. This is our second regatta together, and Timmy's second regatta ever in the 49er.
So, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, then you're doing great.
Yeah,
thank you.
Pretty stoked at where we are, and just have to do the basics right. It's really shifty out there, and we're on the Alpha course, so right close to the beach, so it's going to be a lot of shifts. So just tacking when the jib flaps and making sure we sail the lift and stay under pressure.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. And Tim, what's been your kind of biggest eye-opening thing this week in terms of your progression?
We've had some moments where we've been, we're pretty happy with. A few races we've managed to be leading, but, I think a lack of experience maybe kind of, draws us back a bit in the end. But, no, we have our moments, but we've also got moments where, we haven't done so well, but they're the ones where you learn the most. So we're really looking forward to today, and it's just about being patient is what we talked about this morning, and the results will come, but we just got to keep chipping away, do the basics like Leo said, and yeah.
Cool. And what's your relationship with the rest of the Japanese teams?
Yeah, it's great. No, we've got good 4 crews here. So the boys are going well, and the 2 girls are working their way in the FX fleet, and we've got a NACA team as well, and a couple of young 49er teams that are coming through, 2 young teams that are doing the junior world. So a lot of good talent in Japan, and just have to keep growing, and I guess it's on us and for me and Timmy and the other Japanese boys to get good results and prove that it is possible to be at the top of the 49er fleet as a Japanese team. So that's our goal, and you just keep working on it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Good luck today.
Cheers.
Make the cut.
Thanks, Chris.
I don't know who did the interview. And one of you, I can't remember, one of the Fosey sent, I don't think you're on, but maybe you are. Let me know in the comments if you do. But thank you for sending that through. And Leo, he did the Olympics with his old crew didn't want to continue. Leo wasn't sure if he did because he's one of the major guys now. He had been on Team Japan in SailGP, and now that SailGP's team is in abeyance, whether they find some sponsor or buy an owner or something and get a
maybe he should just go to work on that.
Well, he is working on that, and so is Nathan Outeridge. But what just lovely kids, great kids, smart kids. I think that was shot this morning before they went out for the final day before the cutoff. Only 25 boats, as John Emmett is saying, get promoted to the Gold Fleet, and then they have 2 or 3 more races in the medal race, which is the top 25 team. A bunch of teams there. So did Leonard make the cut? I'm sad to report he did not. I think they ended up 30th in the fleet, but he's just back with a new crew, and those are tough boats to sail. We wish him well. Leo, hope to get him back on here sometime soon. More articulate young sailors like those two will go a long way in growing our sport, Richard. David Morris is saying, yep, David completely agree. Jody Shields, hello, I'm late. I have a hangover. Welcome to the weekend. What have I missed? Everything, Jody. We haven't been talking about you. John Abbott, looking at the 49er results, the Brits, the Spanish, and the Dutch could well be the medals in 2024. We are so fortunate to have these bright, attractive people in our sport, men and women, old and young. My theory is it not only attracts people, but the sport makes us that way too, because you have to, my dad always said, you have to be reasonably physically and mentally fit to go yacht racing, to go sailing, just to get the boat off the dock.
And you have to do both at the same time.
And you have to do both at the same time. Well said, Julia. A little America's Cup news here.
Oh, good.
Nothing we haven't told you already, and this thanks to one of our Fosey, but the website for K Challenge has in the last couple days been updated to include one of the flying monohulls from the last Cup.
From Prada.
Well, I don't know what boat that is, but somebody has obviously photoshopped it because this is K Challenge, the French effort, and their website now has these boats and it's in French, but they talk about the America's Cup and SailGP as if they're going to be involved in SailGP. And all I can say is it does look like they're about to announce, as their website has been updated, and we think they're the one remaining team. They've got till the end of this month to formally challenge. And I thank Daniel Grun in Augsburg in Deutschland for sending that along.
That would be
picking
good.
Up on that. So it does look like there's going to be a French team. We've been telling you that for some time. We shall soon see. This is a corrector Crutonic, which clearly just about everything about this story probably is Crutonic. But I'm running it here in this segment because several of you have asked about it, and I don't know what's really going on other than I did find a good article dated today. It's from Australia. It's Saturday the 9th down there now, but this is a magazine called Sales Magazine. Those of you in Oz will know it. salesmagazine.co.au is the website. And this is a story that they're running yesterday and today. 2 sailors on board the Far X2 Nexpa Racing, when it capsized off the coast of Wollongong, have been safely rescued and the yacht salvaged. And the news is a bit old, but the article is quite new. Again, Sales Magazine in Australia. There's another picture of the boat before she went, I won't say it, Julie, but before she capsized and lost her keel. There are many unanswered questions still surrounding the near loss of the new double-handed, this is a double-handed offshore boat designed by FAR Yacht Design in Annapolis, Our good friend, I don't know if our good friend Britt Ward had anything to do with it. I'll check in with him. The FAR X2, it's called. Negsba Racing was the first of what, I guess 10 boats are, 10 more boats are on order. In moderate seas off Wollongong last weekend, predictably, the focus has been on why the keel of Negsba failed so catastrophically, causing it to capsize and, according to the limited accounts available, with very little warning. But there are other elements of the incident that need to be discussed. There's the sorry picture. They were upside down and off the coast for a long time before they were rescued.
Why?
Well, and this is exactly the question, Julia. Why there weren't EPIRBs, why there wasn't any kind of distress signal. Apparently they tried to, I kid you not, in this article, they tried to contact in Australia like we have 911. Well, they have, what is it, 000? 111, I can't remember what it is. On an Apple Watch, they tried to call to get a rescue. So these double-handed sailors are out doing a 100-mile qualifying run, I guess, for Sydney or for some other race that's starting at the end of this month, end of July. And then maybe for Sydney Hobart, the end of this year. So I don't know what's going on. Yikes, Joe Holtzman is saying. Britt talked about this boat being developed when he was on your show. Yes, Baton Rouge, I remember that. Didn't say much about it. Jody Shields is saying having a hangover is cretonic, but there's something afoot here, and we're going to look into it. If any of you has information, please pass it along. That article, I commend it to you by Scott, I guess it's Alley, on salesmagazine.co.au. And there's some other photos. And obviously the situation is not correct.
Alan Long says one is arriving in SFO as we speak.
Oh, really? The FAR X2? Interesting. Okay, well, we're gonna keep an eye on this. And again, if any of you has information, please send it along. And thanks to Greg Phillips down in Australia for sending along that link and reminding us about this story. That brings us, after an hour and 27 minutes, Julia, to the D block. So it wasn't that long a show. I told Julia when she came down here, I think this is going to be a long one.
We're talking fast.
But we're talking fast. And I've only got one of these whiskey Tango Foxtrots.
Only one.
Only one. And it's a goodie. And it's clean. Now that we're married, can you stop sailing that stupid boat? She says, you're beginning to sound like my ex-wife. What? You told me you'd never been married before. I haven't been.
Uh-oh.
And that courtesy of Greg Phillips as well. Set that up from Oz. Thank you, sir. A few other comments here, Julia.
Gerardo
Seeliger, who sailed probably in the Finn World Masters. Winter JP. Gerardo, we just ran a segment on that, quite an extensive segment. Bravo Zulu to the class again, and to especially your PR, I mean to JP, but also to your PR guy, Robert Deves from the UK. Fantastic stuff. They broke, David Bray, hi David Bray, is saying they broke their PLB aerial. Well, that's probably, no surprise. I mean, when the keel falls off, the boat falls over, and who knows. Okay. We'll see how that pans out. Julia, we are to the finish line, and I've got a couple minor ones here. Excuse me, I may have a little coffee.
Yeah, where's your cough switch?
I have a cough switch, and I can turn myself off and stream and turn it back on and off and on, like you can over there.
Yes.
Julia's got her own cough switch.
I do.
Bravo Zulu, this is really a Bravo Zulu, but at the finish line here, Ian Walker is finishing his term at the Royal Yachting Association as the racing director. After 5 years, today is my last day. I think this was yesterday. Thank you to all my colleagues and especially all the volunteers without whom our sport couldn't operate. True, Bravo Zulu, well said. What a gracious and cool and smart guy Ian Walker is. The double Olympic medalist. Time for a short break before an exciting new challenge at North Sails. Bravo Zulu to Ian and to the RYA for keeping him as long as they did, Frank.
And to North Sails for getting him.
And for North Sails for taking him on. Now, here is something that Ryman sent just before I went to air. Have a look at this. Final concluding cool video. Won't believe it until they get to the beach.
Oh,
is that cool?
yes.
That is so cool. I'm going to back it up and play it again.
Yeah. I thought he was barefoot for the moment.
He's a kiter. Apparently the kid loves it and wants to do it over and over again, and that's thanks to Ted Ryman, who sent that video in from God knows where. But what cool stuff. What a cool sport we have. Trolling for sharks. That's shark bait. I don't think so. John Emmett's got Ian Walker on their next Restart Sailing show. Cool stuff. Kiting is definitely cool, Emmett is saying. Stingray, thanks T&J and everyone for the fun and sailing. Yep, we have a great group on here, and we have a great sport, as we like to say always. And Julia, you like to say.
Yes, it's absolutely necessary today for you to like, follow, and share.
Well, it's not life or death, but it does help us.
Oh, it is. Just once a year, it can be necessary.
You know, every chance that you get to do it. Comments are welcome too, even in replay. And by the way, I post a lot of stuff on my personal Facebook page. Many of you are friends on my personal Facebook page, but I'm up against the 5,000 limit. So you can follow that page, even though if I can't friend you. And I do go through every now and then kill friends, meaning find people who are not active on Facebook.
Right.
And eliminate them. Support us on Patreon if you would, please. Keep us on the air. This is viewer-supported media. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Julia, last word.
Oh, sailing is a nice opportunity to take a pause and think about the world and straighten yourself out.
Do we need straightening out?
Yes.
I don't. Do you?
Yes.
Okay. Julia and everybody, thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us again. We'll be back on Tuesday. Hope to see you then. In the meantime, have a great weekend. And if you can, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.